Hi, this is Mrs. H Psychology. This is for AQA Psychology A level, and it's for paper 1, the memory topic, and factors affecting eyewitness testimony. So this time it's on anxiety. You've got a separate video on factors affecting in terms of misleading information, which includes leading questions and post-event discussion. So a whole separate little video on that, and a separate little mind map for you to do a self-check. This time it's on anxiety, so the second aspect there. So let's have a look at this. First of all, let's define it. Anxiety being a state of emotional or physical arousal. Okay, and we should also go on to mention the fact that anxiety has shown in research to both improve and also have a negative impact on memory. Okay, so how does that happen? So sometimes the physiological changes can prevent us from paying attention to those important cues we're meant to be picking up on, and therefore recall is worse. But also anxiety will trigger off the fight-flight response. Now that is going to increase our alertness, and with that we're going to have an improvement in our memory. So be careful, anxiety can work both ways. But let's look at the evidence we've got. Okay, so first of all, you would outline Diefenbacher, the inverted U, or the Yerkes-Dodson effect. Okay, so basically we've got a little diagram. You can even draw this diagram, sketch this in the exam, but basically it's saying the more that your arousal goes up, so in other words your anxiety here, the more you're anxious, the more your performance will increase on any given task. The thing is, it's only up to this optimal level, and beyond that your performance will decrease. Now here, be careful. Increased performance here is about our recall, our eyewitness testimony, our eyewitness recall, and that's really important that you state that. Okay, so whereas we're talking about performance in all sorts of other areas, here we're talking about our recall in eyewitness testimony. Okay, so the idea is that the more anxious we are, the better we're going to be as eyewitnesses up to this optimum level, and then when our anxiety becomes too much, our performance is going to decrease. So what supporting evidence have we got? Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at the evidence for weapon focus. Johnson and Scott, participants in a waiting room, they heard an argument. And then there were two conditions, so it's an independent groups design. In one of the conditions, it was low anxiety. So a man walked through after the argument, and he was carrying a pen, but he also had grease on his hands. In the second condition, the high anxiety condition, they heard breaking glass, and then the man walked through, but this time with a paper knife that was covered in blood. Then the second part is that they're asked to pick out the man from 50 photos. And what they found with the results were 49% picked him out correctly in the low anxiety, with only 33% in the high anxiety. And their explanation is that it's weapon focus, it's tunnel theory, that basically the focus was on the, if you like, the weapon, not his face. However, others, like Pickle, believe it's not really about the weapon itself, but it's about the surprise factor, and we'll talk through that in a moment. So that's one piece of research. So if you needed a 3-marker on the method, you've got plenty of info for that one. We could also use Yule and Kutzel. This one you've come across before was a real-life crime where a thief was shot dead in the street in a Canadian town. 21 witnesses, and 13 of them agreed to participate in some research. So 4 to 5 months later, they were interviewed, and they were also asked for their self-report, really, their ratings of their stress at that time. Now, what they found was the results were very accurate. Their witness results, their witness testimonies were very accurate. And those who were rated very highly stressed were most accurate, so 88% versus 75% of the less stressed group. However, we mustn't forget that the most stressed were also those who were closest to the incident, could witness it because they were very close to it. So, you know, the details they could have picked up on because they were close probably countered any reduction due to the fact they were stressed. Remember, it's a real life event, so obviously it has high ecological validity. We could also use the Pickle study referred to above. That's where participants were in a hairdressing salon, again with 2 separate conditions, independent groups, a low surprise and a high surprise. Low surprise, an actor walked through with scissors and a wallet. With the high surprise, an actor walked through with a chicken and a handgun. And what they found were the results were worse for the highly unusual surprise condition. So the conclusion is it's not about the weapon, it's about the surprise element, not the weapon. So evaluating it, that's what we've just referred to there. The unusualness is what will affect their witness recall. So it doesn't have to be a weapon. But also we've got other factors. For example, this is anxiety, but you could bring in other factors that affect eyewitness testimony. So for example, something about your post-event discussion, which is on a separate video. And obviously with post-event discussion, these are extraneous variables. You know, in real life you can't really control. There was so much going on with people talking about it and it being in the press, maybe, that you know you have less control over that. And also inverted U is very oversimplistic, and obviously we've got that other criticism that in the lab we are very limited in the amount of anxiety we can induce. Okay, in real life, obviously, that unfortunately people do witness things that are very emotional, very upsetting for them. But in the lab, ethically, we're very limited. And when people like Loftus and Burns have done research in the lab, for example, their study with a boy being, where participants had to watch a video, a simulation of a boy being shot in the face. There are criticisms about that, because that is emotionally very disturbing for people to watch. Right, now I would suggest you have a little go at the mind map to do a self-check. So bringing up the mind map, anxiety. Right, now I'm going to just start you off here with a bit of a reminder. So can you define it? What do we know about how it affects eyewitness testimony? Is your little prompts, your cues. What can you say about weapon focus? What can you say about inverted U? Repression. We didn't talk about that, but basically Freud's idea of repression, that we push into the unconscious anything that's too upsetting for us, and your evaluation. So I'm going to see if you can pause the video now, and I'm going to open these up one by one. So pause, have a go at it. When you feel you're ready, go on with the video. So let's start with this. Okay, so you should have a little bit on how does it improve, a little bit on how does it get reduced. Information on weapon focus, link with eyewitness testimony and the evidence we've got from Johnson and Scott, Gene study. So going on. Okay, so you've got low and high anxiety conditions. What were they? What were the results? Etc. etc. The Pickle study as well. And then inverted U. Got repression. And finally the evaluation. Okay, so a little self-check.